The next two tabs are related to some general and detailing related properties. These are the General Definitions and Detailing Definitions tabs. Let's start with the General Definitions tab. All Comosys objects have names. These are useful for filtering purposes. The user can enter any name they want. Some default names are provided, but these can be changed by the user. One of the most important properties is the type property. A frame can be one of many different types like column, beam, vertical bracing, horizontal bracing, truss top and bottom chords, purlin, girt, crane, etc. These types not only provide a great filtering possibility, but they are also used by some high-end features like IntelliConnect etc. to provide a great user experience. Always ensure that your frame elements have been set to the right type. If you use the correct button in the toolbars, the correct type will automatically be set for you. However, even if you forget to do so, selecting the elements and changing their type later is also possible. The material property is self-evident, so we won't waste time on it. However, this next property, called usage, is interesting. A profile can have different usages. It can be used as structural steel, but it can also have usages like cast-in-place concrete, precast concrete, etc. If certain profiles are set as cast-in-place concrete, it will tell the program that these elements will be unioned together in the drawings. This is a great feature, since it allows the user to model concrete beams and columns with clashes, and still rest assured that the drawings will appear monolithic. Some programs force the user to model concrete without clashes, and this is a major drawback. With Comosys you will have no such issues. We will show how these elements appear in the drawings later. But for the moment just remember that if an element is cast in place concrete, don't forget to set the usage as such. The rest of the properties in this tab page are self-explanatory, except for annotations which we will explain in a separate video. These are basically to see information about the profiles like their section names, or materials, etc. in the model directly annotated on the screen. The next tab is the Detailing Definitions tab. These fields require some explanation. The most important are the part and assembly numbering fields over here. Since this is detailed topic, we will explain it separately in a dedicated video on numbering. For the moment, just know that the part and assembly numbering prefixes and series start variables are defined here. The user can also see that actual numbers given to the parts and assemblies here as well, but only after a numbering has been performed. An important checkbox is the forced to be main part checkbox. By default, Comosys will prefer profiles to the main parts of assemblies, and within the profiles, it will pick the heaviest part to be the main part of an assembly. However, you can override this default behavior by checking this box. If this part becomes part of an assembly, it will also be the main part irrespective of its relative size. The same checkbox is available for plate objects as well, so you can even force plates to be main parts of assemblies. The drawing group field is important for the numbering algorithm as well. In Comosys, objects in different drawing groups are numbered separately. Now you can see here how the objects are grouped differently while you perform numbering. This is a flexibility which can be useful in large models, but the user needs to ensure that the objects of different drawing groups are not imported to same drawing if they have the same numbering prefixes. If that happens, the user might see two different parts with the same mark on the same drawing. However, if care is taken to ensure such parts never appear on the same drawing, this feature can be very useful. Of course, it is always possible to change the numbering prefixes, but sometimes it might be desirable to have the same prefix for different groups. In such cases, this property comes in very handy. The next important field here is the Formwork group field. As we had mentioned earlier, all cast-in-place parts are unioned to make them monolithic in the drawings. This field can be used to create groups for this monolithic unioning process. Parts with the same formwork group will be unioned. So if you want some parts to not be unioned with the rest of the building but also represent a union group in themselves, just change their formwork group here. By default, all profiles and plates etc. come with a formwork group value of 1. So they will be unioned together as long as their usage is cast-in-place concrete. However, you can change this behavior by using different numbers here to group different parts together. The next three important fields are the checkboxes for Exclude from Detailing, Exclude from Dimensioning, and Do Not Annotate. Any part whose Exclude from Detailing field is checked will not be numbered. This might be needed for certain situations. However, one must remember to also check the Do Not Annotate checkbox in such cases. A part may not be numbered, but it still has a number of 0 which you don't want to be annotated on the drawings. The Exclude from Dimensioning checkbox is to tell Comosys not to include a particular part in the automatic dimensioning of drawings. Some complex shapes are best dimensioned manually, and in those cases, it is better to tell Comosys beforehand not to attempt to dimension them in the drawings. If you don't do so, you will have to first delete those dimensions before adding your own, and this would mean valuable time is lost. So whenever dealing with a complex shape, you might consider using this checkbox. Thanks for watching.